In 2008, Dr. J. McDaniel spoke at Northwest Nazarene University to a group of students and faculty, unopposed, unchallenged. Dr. McDaniel claims to be a Christian, but he is a universalist. He believes in panentheism, that God is in all, and that people who do not accept Christ will go to heaven. After listening to the lecture and the ensuing Q&A session, it was obvious to me this was another example of the heresy being spread right inside the walls of a Christian school by Christian leaders. Here are some highlights of his talk. It is an indication of how many of our Nazarene schools have been corrupted with false teaching.
I'm a Methodist, and I went to Methodist seminary. And when I went to seminary, I was influenced by the Catholic writer Thomas Merton, who was a monk at a monastery in Gethsemane, Kentucky. And if you've ever read the works of Thomas Merton, he's a wonderful writer. I was interested in Merton because I wanted to be a Christian with roots and wings. And I had, at this time in my life, I had fallen into a kind of Christianity that I would say had inflexible roots, but no wings. Now that's a metaphor for a way of being Christian that is so tied to a tradition or a set of beliefs that they become a box. And you can't learn anything new. You can't look outside the box. So I went looking for writers who would give me an image of a more open kind of Christianity. And I turned to this writer named Thomas Merton. He's a Catholic, and he was one of the first Christians I encountered who I would say had deep roots in Christianity and strong wings. He was open to truth wherever he found it. I realized I'm not a skin-encapsulated ego. And maybe Buddhism knows that even more deeply than I know that, and maybe I have something to learn from him. Maybe my Buddhist friend can help me think about God in a fresh way. Could it not be that the wisdom of Confucianism is precisely that it can help Christians enter more deeply into the kind of community and finding God in community that they seek? Could it not be that the God who was revealed in Jesus is revealed elsewhere too? And so the simple point I'm explaining to you is I, to this day, feel grateful to a Buddhist for helping me understand my own faith more deeply. He knew something I needed to know. And so that made me begin to wonder, can we Christians, can we be more open? Can we be more receptive to people of other religions than we so often have historically? And can our receptivity, indeed even our vulnerability, you have something to teach me, can that be part of our good news to the world? Can our good news to the world be that we will listen with a willingness to be touched, with a willingness to be moved, with a willingness to be, in a way, converted into deeper forms of love with their help? I teach the world religions. I teach Islam. I teach Judaism. I teach Confucianism. I teach Taoism. And as a Christian, I have learned so much. And I'm just grateful to them. I think Buddhism can help us realize that we can practice the presence of God in the sacrament of each present moment. And Buddhism can help us be more present and be better listeners in the here and the now. I think Islam can help Christians understand that even as God is revealed in Jesus, God cannot be domesticated. God is always more than our experience of God. God is always more than our concept of God. That's how Muslims understand the saying, God is great. And there's been a tendency among some Christians to domesticate God, to make God my good buddy, my best friend, my pal. I think Islam can be a witness to the world that God, Allahu Akbar, God is always more than our experience of God. And so some Christians, and I'm among them, use the word Christ not simply as a name for Jesus, but also as a name for the Spirit of God at present throughout the world. Do you follow? And so, in all honesty, I see Christ outside Christianity. I don't think the living Spirit of Christ is reducible to historical Christianity. And I don't think it's reducible to those who use Jesus' name. And I don't think it's reducible to those who point to Jesus. I think the Spirit of Christ is found throughout the world. So when I think my Hindu can be open to Christ without confessing Jesus. And if she is saved, in a way she's saved through Christ, even as that does not mean that she believes in Jesus.
Who goes to heaven from your perspective? There are truths you can learn from different religions, certainly.
I don't know who goes to heaven. And I don't think it's important to know that. I don't think it's important to be able to say to yourself or to the world, I know who goes to heaven and I know who doesn't. I'm willing to let God be God. I'm willing to say God is more than my concept of God. And what I know as a Christian is I want to walk with Jesus. And I want to share in his journey. And I know that God meets me through Jesus, but not only through Jesus. God meets me through the hills and the rivers and the trees and the stars. God meets me through my friends and family. God meets me through John Coltrane. He's a jazz musician. John meets me through music. I'm not going to restrict the ways that God meets me to Jesus, and I don't think Jesus would want me to. But who goes to heaven? Let's just wait and see. They may even get to go to heaven with help from their religions. So it may even be that my Hindu sister there it may even be that she can go to heaven, but what she will realize when she gets there is that the fulfillment of your heart's journey was in Jesus Christ. So that would go like this. You go to heaven. Here's St. Peter. You're Hindu. I open the door. I say, come on in. Because you followed the best of your lights. You did the best you could. You lived a life of love. Come on in. And you see that person in the corner? That's Jesus of Nazareth. And do you see how he completes the journey that you were on? You were trying to live a life of love, and he embodies that. Come on in and go over and meet him. So Jesus fulfills the revelation that you had through your Hinduism, completes the salvation that you knew through your Hinduism. That's fulfillment theory. That, by the way, is the dominant Catholic view today.
What this is hollow, deceptive philosophy, and it's straight out of the pit of hell. And if you think this is an aberration and is only happening at one school, I'm afraid it's not. I am a Nazarene, but this kind of deception is happening in practically all denominations. So take warning, no matter what church you are from. There is a great deception happening now. They are trying to steal your children. Is it the great falling away? If it is not, then I shudder to think what that will be like.